last week our Get and Go 330 logo suddenly became on MySpace and YouTube. Many of the Instagram and YouTube stars.
YouTube has descriptive video service, but
no Seinfeld allowed at the OK Center if you want to talk about
Miles Neff, what are you doing at Channel 8?
Girls are in Instagram girls are not on the 330. One more time.
this part of town.
Miles Neff, Charles Healy.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm a smile on every criminal who never quits.
This is the OANTV News Reporter, the whole control room.
OK Tower, now.
Miles Neff, Mr. Tim, you guys. And we're back with more 330 bloopers, and last week, social media became a huge factor. We had Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and instead of YouTube, when Tim I guessed, then we sent Miles Neff over to his own office, but instead, he decided to go to Channel 8. And now, here we are again, 12th week, doing our outstanding bloopers, and this time, Darren Polish is waiting to hear from New York City agent Will Stacks about the slide with Miles Neff and Donald Trump. And last year we talked about the Kris Kringle assassination. Miles Neff is now back in his office right now, so it's gonna be just me and Mr. Tim today. And this time, 50-50 would be a huge factor here, partner.
Well, Mr. Boone, it is so great to be back here again this week. As you know, things are starting to become even more interesting, that's for sure.
And so with that we're ready. Let's see the first blooper of the week. Columbia Pictures. What does Columbia have to do with a 330?
Well, needless to say, the 330 the movie would use Columbia Pictures as its production company.
Columbia Pictures on the 330? No, Aldrin Communications owns the 330, not Columbia Pictures. Oh, look what we have here!
Vintage stock. Why is vintage stock on the 330 and not the 330 itself? My friend works for Vintage Stock, and still he tests out the video games every now and then.
Mr. Tim, if Vintage Stock was on the 330, Channel 8 would be live from Vintage Stock Broken Arrow. Vintage Stock not on the 330. And its partners, GameStop and EV Games. If these two were on the 330, they would be at either Woodland Hills Mall or... Hey, what happened to the words Vintage Stock? And why isn't Vintage Stock on here? Mr. Tim, Vintage Stock, again, not on the 330. GameStop EV Games, not on the 330. Mr. Tim, you are about to lose control here any second.
And hey, next thing you know you are about to subscribe to the television code of...
Mr. Tim, just the Vintage Stock emblem with words, buy, sell, trade, plus you've got movies, music, video games and more. And now Mr. Tim, yet again, you've got Tim I guessed on here. That's it, I am calling Miles Neff, so I can see what happened with Vintage Stock. And now Mr. Tim, you're gonna subscribe to the television code of the National Association of Broadcasters, just like most stations used to back in the 70s. Mr. Tim, again, Vintage Stock, GameStop, EV Games, Tim I guessed, and now you've got the 1965 NAV seal of good practice from a 1970s TV station sign-off. Mr. Tim, Mr. Tim, Mr. Tim, that's it, Mr. Tim, I'm calling Miles Neff. Miles Neff, hey, it's me, Clint Boone, from Tulsa's Channel 8. I'm here with Mr. Tim trying to do the 330 bloopers.
I am Clint Boone in my office right now. Clint Boone, it's now been 9 weeks of you being in my office, and you're still terrorizing Mr. Tim.
Yes, I was terrorizing him when he brought up the Vintage Stock logo without the words Vintage Stock, and he added Tim I guess to the logo, thinking she's on the 330, and I'm like, no. And then Mr. Tim brought up the 1965 NAV seal of good practice.
Clint Boone, this is the 12th week you guys have been doing this. Will Stacks is counting on you any minute. Any minute. Any minute.
Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you.
Minute. Any minute. The next time you do this to us again, you will be sent to Will Stacks up in New York. And you will not be subscribing to the NAV television code again. Do you understand me, Clint Boone?
Yes, Your Honor. but I will not attempt to subscribe to the television code again. If I do, Will Stacks will be getting on to me at any moment.
Well, alright then, you're free to go back to the control room to join Mr. Tin, if you want. Mark Bradshaw and Charles Ely, please report to the desk at this time. Thank you.
Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support of viewers like you. Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for this program is provided by the financial support of viewers like you. And the financial support program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you. Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you.
Just wondering if things might change just yet. Well, that volume is all right there.
And a hearing show cost us $1,000 and a 50-50.
Yes, this is Charles Ely from Tulsa's Channel 8. I was wanting to let you know that I would need Miles Neff in here, so... Alright, I'll see you later on today. Thank you for calling Tulsa's Channel 8. Goodbye.
Charles Ely. What? Charles Ely? He was in my movie. Back in 2015. Miles Neff versus the world. Miles Neff, you better be you this instant. Mark Bradshaw, why is he on the 330 and not Charles Ely? Now this 330 is a madhouse. Mark Bradshaw, plus, you've got Leilani Jones Wilmore on the 330, Mr. Tin. Mark Bradshaw is not dating Leilani Jones Wilmore when Leilani Jones Wilmore is at WGDH and Mark Bradshaw is at Channel 8.
Miles Neff.
No, Mr. Tin, not Miles Neff. It's Leilani Jones Wilmore. That's dating Mark Bradshaw. The 330, not Mark Bradshaw and Leilani Jones Wilmore. Guys, we've had enough for this week. Why don't we just take the weekend off and go out to lunch? Let's do it.
Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support of viewers like you. Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for this program is provided by the financial support of viewers like you. And the financial support program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you. Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you.
Just wondering if things might change just yet. Well, that volume is all right there.
And a hearing show cost us $1,000 and a 50-50.
Yes, this is Charles Ely from Tulsa's Channel 8. I was wanting to let you know that I would need Miles Neff in here, so... Alright, I'll see you later on today. Thank you for calling Tulsa's Channel 8. Goodbye.